I got our friend Crusade to Motivation, Aldo, and his son up doing live streaming.
8.
They're doing 200 burpees. His
9.
most of you guys, many of you guys either know or have met Aldo. He's been here for the live sessions.
10.
He's a great
There it
guy.
is.
He's here with his 9-year-old son.
There it is. There it is.
So big shout out for them. 206 count burpees.
110, man.
Every rep counted. Every portion.
He said it was going to take us 20 minutes. That's where we at.
Every point.
23 minutes.
Good to see. I'm going to keep him up running, but we're going to put him on mute for now so we can continue our conversation here. My cat just came in. So I meditated with my cat today. I don't normally because I keep my distractions when I meditate to a minimum. But my cat was sleeping on my bed. Usually she sees me put my meditation stuff down and she scoots off and heads out of the room. This time she didn't, and I didn't have the heart to chase her off the bed. She looked pretty comfortable. I don't know what's going on in a cat's life. It might have been a hard day in cat world. So who am I to chase her off the bed? Nice and comfortable. So I figured I'd get on with my meditation. She'd be fine. And of course, there's a reason why they tell you not to meditate with cats. Or dogs are a little better, I think. But they are animals are definitely attracted to that energy. And she immediately came by and danced around me. But you know what? It was still a good meditation. As most of them are. Even the worst meditation is better than not meditating. Our friend Holgo is here. Holgo, how are you? Nice seeing you over at Nobles today. How's everything in the sculpting world? How's everything in the sculpting world? And did we catch an episode of Popeye today? And if you did catch an episode of Popeye today, was today the day that he finally taught Bluto a lesson? Olga says he's good. Watching Popeye as always. How are you? I'm good too. Popeye's a great character. I have the utmost admiration for someone who places such a high emphasis on one, vegetables, spinach, on two, authenticity. His motto, I am what I am, and that's all that I am. That's being authentic. How much could we learn from that? How often do we say things like, well, I'm not what I want to be yet. I'm not this person. I'm not where I want to be. I'm not the person I should be. How often do we keep ourselves down, knock ourselves down, for no apparent reason other than we're believing thoughts that we have about ourselves? And then here comes along Popeye, who says, I am that I am, and that's all that I am. And then he eats his spinach. That's a good role model. I wonder if people see the spiritual dimension in Popeye the Sailor Man. Kay's here. Kay Renee's Garden says, hey Yogi, and hey to Holgo. We're talking about the spirituality of Popeye the Sailor Man. I'm wondering, I'm thinking of other cartoons, and if there's any other, what could be a spiritual hero. I don't think Bugs Bunny. I definitely don't think the Roadrunner. I like the persistency of the Coyote. Kay says I used to love that cartoon. Yeah, it was a good cartoon. Our friend Holgo enjoys Popeye, and he's had me thinking about it quite a bit. Holgo says, but I did find something interesting, and I have a new question. What the heck is in the spinach? Because in some episodes, it shows it's not just the spinach in the can, but all spinach in general. So, are you saying that Popeye was using performance enhancing spinach? That he should be disqualified from the Salaman Olympics? Spinach is high in protein for a leafy green. It's high in iron. It's a great source of iron. It's a good source of folate. It has calcium. It's a very versatile green. Some say that you get better health benefits from lightly cooking spinach. And that's true for quite a few vegetables. Tomatoes, I think we mentioned that the other day, that the, is it lysine? Lysine in tomatoes? I don't remember, but it's released when some of the phytochemicals are released when you cook it. Decades and decades ago, people made fun of Ronald Reagan for wanting to introduce ketchup as a school vegetable. And he was rightly shot down for that, because even though ketchup does have some redeeming qualities as far as getting the nutrients from tomatoes out, it shouldn't be a school vegetable. Give a kid vegetables. Give all kids vegetables. We got to quit playing games with our children and their health. We have to quit playing games with us and our health and our well-being, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. Which is why, I do believe we shouldn't have a specific prayer in school across the board, because there's just too many people with different faiths. But I believe we should have a quiet time of contemplation, where if a child chooses to pray, to worship in their own way, then that's perfect, because it doesn't drag other kids in. Each one has that quiet time to worship in the way of their family. And it could just be quiet time if they don't have a faith at all. Kay says, yeah, I just saute mostly eat spinach raw. Yeah, me too. Now I do cook my kale. I steam kale and broccoli every day. I have a serving of cooked greens, which is the kale and the broccoli. Excuse me. And I have a big serving of raw greens. Usually spring mix, or 50-50 blend, which would be spring mix and spinach. Olga says, no, because in some episodes he just eats spinach from a field and gets the same spinach as in the can. Strength. You would think he'd get better results from fresh spinach. I can't believe you're finding flaws in the philosophical expression of Popeye the Sailor Man. Okay, says sometimes I saute kale, other times I massage with olive oil, to make it tender and eat it raw in a salad. Hey, that's a good idea. Cruising is fun anytime, says hi everyone. Hello, Cruising, how are you? These guys are my favorite cruising people. Jeremy and Cheryl, cruising is fun anytime. It's absolutely amazing. Um, if you open up to other people, what other people offer creatively on their channels, it might be something that you wouldn't think you had any interest in whatsoever. You know, I've mentioned before gaming channels. Um, I can't say that my interest in gaming itself has grown, but my interest in gaming channels has grown quite a bit. Our friend Tokyo and our friend Smitty Deuces, Smitty Deuces 187, both have helped me appreciate that. Cruising is fun anytime. Jeremy and Cheryl have opened me up to the world of cruising channels. And cruising took a big hit during COVID. So, man, support the people who are supporting a business that is bouncing back. We all need a little help. Sometimes I think we forget that recovering is an ongoing thing. Um, you know, it's something you learn in the uh, when you quit drinking. I could say that I'm in recovery, but I'm not in recovery because I'm afraid of drinking again. I'm in recovery because I damaged myself emotionally from a decade of extremely hard drinking. I damaged myself spiritually. Hopefully, I didn't damage myself physically. As I had a pretty good diet, I took care of myself. I worked out. I was just young and I was just stupid. Maybe the two are interchangeable. Sometimes, not for everyone, but it was for me. I was a teenager way longer than I should have been. My poor parents. Um, let's see. Cruising says, hey everyone. Jeremy and Cheryl's Cruise Adventure says, we love you too. Man, I really appreciate that. Because honestly, you guys are just so much fun to watch every morning. Uh, what, what a good group of people that get together. Some of the best live streaming out there. And the more I live stream, the more I really appreciate um, what an art form that is. Um, not everyone can do it, and not everyone can do it well. If you're starting out in live stream, then definitely go to other people's live stream and learn. Learn how to, one, be authentic. It sounds strange. Learn how to be authentic. Um, but it is something that we have to learn because, man, unfortunately, it seems that we've spent a lifetime not being authentic. And we're told from, stay in the lines, don't use that crayon, grow up, act your age, do this or do that. Um, and that kind of stuff builds a wall around our authenticity. So we don't always naturally express it. So you go to someone's channel and you see them relaxed and having fun, um, chatting with people on the chat, and you learn a whole lot. As I mentioned, it really is an art form. And like every form of art, it's got to come from the heart. But at the same time, why not learn from some of the people who do it the best? And that is definitely Cruising is Fun, and that is definitely Jeremy and Cheryl. They're all under the same umbrella when I go visit them in the morning as I'm finishing up my coffee. Research, Ahmad, Didat videos. Did I get that right, my friend? Appreciate you being here. So yeah, I have a wide, I was going to say birth, but I don't think that's the right word. Variety is a better description of people that I follow for all kinds of different reasons. Um, at first you go visit some sites, some channels. Like if you go to uh, Mayhem or Miracles, if you go to James Skype, um, you think, well, this is a way to gain subscribers. And it is, amazingly so. It's almost every time I visit Masha, I end up getting some more subscribers. But then you got to stick around because it's not about getting subscribers. And Masha makes that known right from the start. It's not what's in it for you, it's what can you do for others. And here's the amazing thing, that's what's in it for you. Because you go there to support others, your channel will grow. But even more so, it's almost like you get a buzz helping people. You just feel good. Um, and you don't feel good about yourself. It's not that kind of patting yourself on the back and saying, I did a good thing today. Because truly, a selfless action is just as it is, selfless. The self isn't involved. There isn't the little egoic self saying, do something good and you'll get something back. Um, it's straight from the Bhagavad Gita that you're entitled to your actions, but not the fruitions of your action. Meaning that you surrender that to God, you surrender to the universe, to reality. You just do the action for the sake of the action alone. So when I started friending people, subscribing, I'm stuck in the Facebook mode. When I started subscribing people, I made the decision that I don't want to just subscribe and click the no notification. I want a notification. I want to hear from you that the fact that I'm supporting you for a reason because I'm interested in your content. I'm interested in you. If I hit that no notification, I would have missed out on Jeremy and Cheryl. I would have missed out on Kay, Holgo as well. Our friend Unc is here, Burpee Yoga Uncle, saying aloha. Aloha is such a great word. The Hawaiian language is such a great language. Unc says, are you doing vertical streaming? I think you get more views if so, but you have to set your stream as a vertical stream. That's an excellent question. I don't know. I have been told that I am. This is the way it's always been for me. I haven't said anything differently or done anything differently. Or if it is different, I have noticed. One thing I do notice is the way it's set up on my phone is I'm constantly hitting buttons I shouldn't be hitting. Okay, so say to Burpee Uncle. Our friend Laradox is here saying hi. He is camping right now. That sounds like a lot of fun. Enjoy. There's nothing like being out in nature. There's nothing like being out in nature with a campfire. Twilight, as it gets dark, in the night, spending the night in nature, and then waking up, especially when the sun's coming up. Laradox says, Kay, could you do me a favor? Let's see. Aldo and his son, Crusade of Motivation. I mentioned before they were live streaming. Aldo's son is 9 years old, and they were doing 200 6 counts. Live streaming it, they have finished. And I have no doubt that they got every single route. I'm just checking real quick. I'm going to see who else might be live. And at the very least, we will have them up and running. We're going to give them some watch hours. So, hey, speaking of watch hours, does anyone know what do you get with 3,000 watch hours? I know that's the first stage of monetizing, but what does it entail? I'm creeping my way there. I'm actually hoping in a 2-week period of time to get to 3,000. I am at 2,671. And guys, I really appreciate all the help that I've gotten from one, you guys just showing up and spending a little bit of time here, because even a little bit counts. And then I have some friends of mine who are watching my previous live streams, which has been helping quite a bit. Previous playlist, actually, and I have several up. So what does that mean? I need 3,000 or 300. I think I wrote it down. 300 and something. I could do the math, but then I'd have to take my shoes and socks off to help with the counting once I run out of fingers. Doesn't seem worth the effort. I know that I need like 329, right? To get to 3,000. I'm just kind of curious about what is the deal with 3,000. And then after that 3,000, it is onwards to the Holy Grail, the 4,000, the full monetizing. Although I've been told by quite a few, don't expect much. Fortunately for me, I don't need much. I have downsized and downsized and downsized. I could probably do even more so. Living almost the life that I'd wanted for a very, very long time. Before I met Milka, I had considered, I had looked at some monasteries. Specifically, I had thought about continuing on with the Self-Realization Fellowship, which is the organization founded by Paramahansa Yogananda Yogi. He wrote the classic autobiography of a yogi, and probably the book that is responsible for turning more people towards a spiritual search. Big influence on me. I did their meditation courses, mail order. I don't even know if they do mail order anymore, because nowadays you just need to click a button. But man, was I always excited to get that big envelope with the lessons for the month. And I would practice quite a bit. And I'm very fortunate that I realized at a young age what real yoga actually is. And I mentioned this earlier today, that yoga isn't stretching, although the asanas are part of the yogic path. In Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, 195 sutras, which are just small passages. Sutra means, and we use the word, it's a Sanskrit word, and of course we use it in English, sutra, for sewing, stitches. And that's what it means in writing, that these are short passages sewn together under a theme. In the 195 sutras, Patanjali mentions asanas, yogic postures, 3 times, and they're all in relation to sitting postures for meditation, how to sit for a longer period of time, because the goal of yoga isn't to be loose and limber. That's a nice side effect if that's part of your practice. Um, the goal of yoga is steadiness and ease of mind so that you see reality unhindered by our own opinions, beliefs, personality, which sounds weird. Aren't I my opinions and my beliefs? Aren't I a personality? No, personality appears, and we have thoughts. And if we have thoughts repeatedly under the same theme, they become an opinion. And if we believe those opinions deep enough, they become a belief system for us. But we don't actually know for certain if any of that's true. We just, because we have them, because we have these thoughts, we have these opinions, and we have these beliefs, and we believe that they're ours, we take them so seriously that some people are willing to go to war to defend their belief if it has been seen to be diminished in some way. When you consider that that is based on a thought, you can sort of see how ridiculous wars are. Let's backtrack that. We can see how ridiculous the cause of wars are, meaning that we absolutely had to get involved in World War II because it was genocide. Could we say that's a just war? No war is just because of the cause. It's a shame that, that we had to get involved in that, because it's a shame that there was ever such a thing as genocide to begin with. And that genocide was based upon the thoughts that people were having, that one group of people, based upon ethnicity, based upon religion, based upon whatever, were inferior to another. So how do you not get involved? You absolutely have to. So sometimes coming to the defense of others, let's say all the time, coming to the defense of others is absolutely the right thing to do. So when, the yogic principle of ahimsa, which is the number 1 principle, the first yama, which is the ethical restraint that we practice, non-harming, people will often say, are you a pacifist? And the answer is really no. The fact that I'm not harming doesn't mean that I'm being passive about it. I keep mentioning Gandhi and Dr. Martin Luther King, who both practiced ahimsa, non-harming, and yet were 2 of the least passive people who ever existed. Gandhi helped defeat the most powerful empire in the world at the time without a single shot being fired from his end. Dr. Martin Luther King endured beatings, attacked by dogs, thrown in prison, and then he came out and he marched. He sat in prison and penned a beautiful letter. Laradox says that he's camping right now. That's awesome. And it's a good thing I just bought a mobile because I can now join your stream. Hey, I appreciate that. You camping with your family? Or friends? Family and friends? So you can actually absolutely practice ahimsa and still come to the defense of others and yourself, which is actually the principles of Aikido. Laradox says, yep, friends. Well, good. Did you guys build a campfire yet? So, Neurodoc says his girlfriend's with him. That's awesome. But no campfire yet. I hope you guys do. I guess it's probably a little earlier for you. It is going on 6 here. And I guess it won't get dark. Even here, it won't get dark till about 8. So, yeah, plenty of time. Sometimes there's a pause in my live stream conversation, and I catch myself wondering, how did I actually get on this topic? The last thing I remember, I was talking about YouTube channels. And here I am talking about World War II, the Bhagavad Gita, Ahimsa, Dr. Martin Luther King, and Gandhi. Charlie559 says it's 2:40 where I live. Charlie, how are you? Appreciate you being here. Our friend Duncan Walsh, Fitness Motivation, is here. Good evening, Mr. McCarty. Let's try an experiment. Let's see if we say it is what it is. If we shout out Lewis, if he'll show up here, and we'll get some fitness talk going on. Therodox says, well, it's almost 6 p.m. where I am. So you're in the east, as am I. Charlie says, good. I'm happy to hear that. Duncan says, not yet seen your latest intervals. It was 1 pump today. Don't ask me which one is harder, because it all depends on the day. More muscles I use with Navy SEALs, obviously. And I think you enter into that air hunger quicker. But plus you have the extra baggage of muscle fatigue thrown in. But that fast pace of 1 pumps. Charlie says, how are you? Charlie, I'm doing pretty well. This is my second live stream for the day. Sort of like to wrap things up in the evening, coming here, chatting with my friends, talking about whatever. Every so often, I try to have a theme in a live stream, and it never works out. Not to mention it probably bores the heck out of people. But what I'm learning more and more, just come here and be loose and relaxed and hang out and take the conversation wherever it goes. And you can always pivot. You know, like I said, I just found myself rambling on, and I can't even remember why I was rambling on in that direction. The last thing I remember saying was Autobiography of a Yogi and Paramahansa Yogananda, and now here we are. So here comes trouble. Guys, I'm glad there's a few people here because you can witness the trouble happening. It starts off all innocent. Hey, Eric, have you considered? Sounds like he's going to be a nice guy and put something out there like, you know, have you considered drinking decaf coffee instead of regular coffee? Have you considered adopting a dog? Have you considered, you know, all kinds of stuff? But it's not going to be anything nice. So Charlie says, I have a YouTube channel, but no one watches what I do. Well, let's start with, what do you do? What kind of stuff, content do you like putting out? And then, I'm really bad at pressing buttons on my phone, because everything goes haywire whenever I try. So what I do is I'm at my desktop and I click on your name. And I come over to your channel. And I can tell you something right off the bat. You're mistaken, because you now officially have 8 subscribers, as I've just subscribed to your channel. I see traveling, Columbia River. This is the stuff I'm interested in. Man, this looks like a great channel. Well, you've made a new subscriber and a new friend. I'll be happy to visit, and I'll be happy to support you. As well, our friend Laradox says, I happily will, Charlie. So, hey, you got some more people here. Also, I'm going to say right off the bat, Columbia River looks like a beautiful river. And it's in the beautiful part of the country. So, hey guys, if you want to support a channel just getting started out, you guys can be in the ground floor. Get our new friend Charlie559 up and running. I'll share something on my community page. I don't know if you heard me talking for a bit, but I do my best to support positive channels that want to grow, that want to help people, that want to present something positive, something beautiful, something interesting. Any of the above, all of the above. So let's see what kind of pure evil our friend Duncan Walsh has in store. An interval session, 1 set of 1 pumps. Funny you said that, because believe it or not, I have considered that just today. It's almost like I was channeling my inner Duncan and offering myself horrible suggestions. So, interval session, 1 set of 1 pumps, alternated with 1 set of Navy SEALs. Last 2 minutes is 1 minute SEALs, 1 minute 1 pump, continuously, of course. Of course. Yeah, I don't know why that popped in my head, other than I've been talking to you too much. It's the only logical explanation. My next interval session will be, I think, in 4 days, and I'll give that a shot. I gotta admit, I'm getting a whole lot out of the interval Navy SEALs, strength-wise and cardio-wise. Or as you say, I feel fitter. Other stuff is feeling easier. Charlie says, I love traveling, that I do that, and some other things. Videography. Am I saying that right? That's what Mocha says. That's what Mocha says that I do with my nature shorts. It's a relatively new word for me. Well, hey, my friend, you got my support. Laradox says, Charlie, make a shout out from my YouTube channel. So, guys, definitely, if you're able, visit each other's channel. Go visit Laradox, and go visit Laradox's girlfriend. Duncan says, just sub, Charlie. That's awesome. Some channels specialize in helping people connect, and that's been pretty awesome. It's how I've made some great friends. I don't specialize in that, but man, I get an awful lot of satisfaction from seeing when it happens. Stetcher says, let's talk about Cormac McCarthy. You know what? I have. What do I have? I'm trying to think. I have 2 books that I have yet to read. Cormac McCarthy. Um, I've skimmed through it, and you know what? I like the stark language. I like the starkness of Cormac McCarthy. Um, I like things that aren't um, overly done language-wise. But for some reason, I've always been hesitant to dive into Cormac McCarthy, and I think maybe for that reason, that it's so stark. Charlie says, thank you all so much. Hey, you're welcome. Charlie, you have 13 subscribers, and you know what? We'll keep working on it. Hey, I have a suggestion for you, Charlie. Go to YouTube search and go to Mayhem and Miracles. Mayhem and Miracles is one of the channels that I mentioned, where she works hard to help other channels grow. That's her mission. And she does it better than anyone. I also suggest James Gype, who also works hard, extremely hard. James is focused. That's his thing. So James Gype, G-I-P-E, repeated, Mayhem and Miracles. With Mayhem, it's just a whole lot of fun hanging out with her too. Every time I visit Mayhem, and I visit her all the time, every day if I'm able, even if I don't have a chance to do anything more than say hi, I'd like to keep her up and running, give her some watch hours, as well as I might turn it on for a moment and hear that someone needs watch hours, or this person needs subscribers and I'm not subscribed to them. So, man, that's the place to go. Charlie says, what things should I post to make it interesting? Post your passion, the things that you love, the things that you're curious about and enthusiastic about, and then just be your authentic self. Just the content should be Charlie559. All the stuff that you love. Never has to be one thing. Some people specialize in one thing, and that's awesome. I don't think I could. I don't think I'd want to. I think of, my channel was me. I got people who come in and say, what's this all about? I don't know. I have no idea what it's all about. I don't have any answers. Not even pertaining to myself, to be honest with you. Stecha says, honestly, you look like the child of Lawrence Krauss, who I'm familiar with, and Tim Blake Nelson, who I'm not familiar with. I have mixed feelings about Lawrence Krauss. I read his book, what was it, A Universe from Nothing? One other book as well, and I can't recall. And he makes cosmology almost understandable to me. For others, I'm sure he makes it very understandable. I've mentioned before, I read quite a bit of quantum physics. I understand absolutely none of it, but for some reason, I enjoy what I read. Because when I read it, and it quickly vanishes from my mind, but the moment that I'm reading it, I just find myself nodding and thinking, this feels right. Specifically, when I read about string theory, it just feels right. The vibratory nature of the universe. I'll have to look up Tim Blake Nelson. Or, I don't know, maybe I won't. I'm always told, almost every live stream, someone might come in and say, you look like And the amazing thing is, all the people that each person says that they look like, none of those people look alike. So it sort of makes me wonder, maybe I have a particular face that morphs in with someone's whatever image they have in mind. Charlie says, thank you, you're welcome. And I don't specify in one thing. I love reading. Man, you could do book reviews. You could do all kinds of reviews. You could do, travel log. Man, I love doing nature shorts. Do live streams. All of the above. Let your imagination loose. Nothing's off limits. Be positive. You put that positive stuff out, positive stuff comes back. That doesn't mean that, hey, when you go on live stream, it's a crapshoot. You never know what's going to happen. We got trolls in from time to time. Part of the game. It's always a good occasion. As I mentioned, I actually mentioned it in the earlier live stream, that it's going to be hard for someone to come in and push my buttons when I've spent 40 years doing my best to erase my buttons. But that doesn't mean that it's impossible. Hey, someone, I shouldn't say it because someone might take it as a personal challenge. But it's not going to be done with bald jokes. It's not going to be done with, hey, you wear glasses. These are things I've actually heard. And it's not going to be done probably anything personal. Really, course of a lifetime, if you're still holding on to all those things that people can use to get to you, whose fault is it? Someone showing up to press your buttons, or the fact that you've done nothing in your entire life to accept certain things about you? Hey, you're not perfect. Although, here's a funny thing to say. You're not perfect, although you reside in perfection. Laradox is back. Charlie559 says, the book I'm reading right now is called The Black Rectangle. Interesting. What's that about? Hey, starting a channel, it's a pretty exciting time. That's like if you were a painter approaching a blank canvas. If you're a writer coming to an empty page. Your channel's wide open and waiting for Charlie559 to make an impression. It's full of potentiality, full of possibilities, only limited by your own imagination. Charlie says, a kid who's learning about history. That sounds good. Have you ever heard of the book called Hatchet? It's by Paulson. Paulson's the last name, right? I can't remember the first name. Gary Paulson. If it's the one I'm thinking of, Gary Paulson, an incredible, incredible nature writer. I enjoyed his stuff quite a bit. It's been some years since I've read it. But, man, I enjoy reading anything about nature. Specifically, fiction and nonfiction. Let's see. Charlie says, the more I just started the book. Awesome. Charlie says that's a good book. Our friend Odom is here. Odom says, hey. I took a tour of the garden with our friend Odom today. He's got a strong strawberry. Is it a patch? strawberry patch. I know it's a blueberry patch, right? Is it strawberry patch coming in? That was a lot of strawberries. Laradox says, yes, by Gary Paulson. And he says, I read a lot. Probably one of the best things you could ever do. My entire life has been shaped by the books that I've read because, you don't just read them. If it's a good book, you want to live them. You want that experience. A good example, in 2009, I was training for kettlebell sport, which is a tough sport. It's an obscure sport, but it's a brutal competition. And I was in line in a bookstore, Borders Books, um, buying something different. And on the table with books of interest was a copy of Born to Run by Christopher McDougall. And I've always run to train for a sport. I never ran just to be a runner. So I didn't have any big interest in it. But it was a long line, and I picked it up, and I opened it up, and it had a quote from the Tao Te Ching, which I just happened to have been reimagining. I was writing a reimagining of the Tao Te Ching, and it had the best runners leave no tracks behind. Tao Te Ching. I forget which verse. And I thought, well, that's a coincidence. And I leafed through it, and it was about ultra running. And I decided to buy it because of the fact of the quote from the Tao Te Ching. Within the first chapter, I told anyone who would listen to me that I was now going to be an ultra runner, that I was going to sign up for a 50K race in just a couple months, and that eventually I was going to run 100 miles. And I did. For the next 10 years after that, I did at least one ultra race a month for 10 plus years. I've done over 100 ultra marathons. Laradox says, we'll be back soon. Jesus love you guys. Thank you for that, Laradox. Appreciate that. Odom says, have strawberry patch and strawberry as cover crop everywhere. Hey, Odom, can you do me a favor? I'm always hesitant to ask people to type too much. I don't know what a cover crop is, but I'd be interested to hear. Charlie says, me too. I read every day, all night. Yeah, so do I. I mentioned before, part of my, let's call it a spiritual practice. I'm always iffy about using the word spiritual practice, as it makes it sound like it's separate from the rest of my life, when it's all spiritual, every part of it. This conversation, every aspect of life. So one aspect of my practice is before bed, I read something that is, I like to call it a holy text, but it could be something inspirational. It could be something to help spark my creativity. Because when you go to sleep, you are entering into your subconscious mind, and you're bringing things into your subconscious mind. So you want to be careful what you bring in. Is it going to serve you? Is it going to feed your dreams in a not so positive way? Or is it going to help you get into that restorative non-dream sleep state where it acts within a positive way? So whatever book you find inspirational or spiritual, just read a few before you go to sleep. Read a paragraph or two or a page or two, and take it with you. Meaning take it with you into your sleep and see how it unfolds in your life. And then a great practice also, when you wake up in the morning, just say thank you. And you might think, well, what am I saying thank you to? The fact that you just woke up. Charlie says, yes, exactly. So, well, Charlie, I'm glad that you came across my channel. I hope um, that we can be a help for you here. Same with Laradox. I hope that we can be a help for him as well. So yeah, I had never heard of cover crop. I'm learning new stuff from my uh, gardening friends all the time. Kay introduced me to the term companion planting. I'm just checking YouTube to see if any of our friends are doing live streams. Charlie says, sub to you. I think you're a really cool person. Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate the those kind words, and I appreciate the sub as well. I'm predicting big things for your channel, my friend. Laradox says, could you play a song real quick, Yogi? I have a song recommendation. What would the song be? I'm always worried. I don't know anything about copyright infringements, but I've been warned by people not to. Especially right now when I'm getting so close to getting my watch hours in, which is the last step for getting monetized, which is an important thing for me right now. So is it in any way going to be copyright infringement? Is YouTube going to flag my account? Actually, our friend Odom will know about that. Oh, Lordex says, play What If God Was One of Them. Yeah, I think I would definitely get flagged for that. It's a good song, though. Odom says, cover crop is a crop grown to enrich the soil. I just use strawberry to get more. That's smart all the way around. It's a shame that we don't farm like that anymore. Here's a question for you, Odom. Is there any such thing outside of, the small farm community, the small garden community, or the homestead community? Is there any really smart farming going on? Or is it all just agribusiness? Are we getting our food from businesses now and not from farms? Laradox says, okay, and you've heard of that song? I have heard of that song. It's a good song. Odom says, basil is a great companion plant for tomatoes. I didn't know that. I love that concept. One plant in support of another, one plant in support of several. It reminds me of what I've been reading about trees, about forest. The mother tree, how the mother tree nourishes the trees around her. And that if one tree falls in a forest, then other trees will, instead of storing water in their leaves, they pull it down into the root system and they share it to the tree that has been injured. Even if the tree is not going to grow again, they'll nourish it. And in return, as that stump, whatever's left, deteriorates back into the ground, it nourishes the other trees nearby with what's left. It's a system, which is the right way of viewing life. Our friend and resident tree expert Eric Lapointe says, yes, a root system can combine. Appreciate you being here, Eric. Eric, we got a new friend in here, Charlie559. He is just starting his YouTube channel story, his mission. I got a feeling he's going to do some good stuff. Odom says, yes, I don't use much music, just the free music from YouTube. Yeah, because I would have loved to. I've done a few workouts to some jazz, but I was told early on, it's not even worth trying. If your goal is to monetize, it's not worth getting any strikes against you. So I do my best to be careful. Laradox says, my dad's dad's dad, so great grandfather, was one of your dad's grandfather, was one of the best plant and tree experts of our U.S. states. That's awesome. Definitely something to be proud of. My grandfather was a forest ranger, and he did his share of tree planting as well. He helped replant the forest that many people are now enjoying in central Pennsylvania, because there was a time when that area was extremely logged over. Laradex says, I can't tell you exactly what state, unfortunately. That's okay. It's enough to know that you have a tree expert, you had a tree expert in your family. Duncan says, YouTube provides a load of copyright-free music. Also, anything 1929 or before is now public domain. You mentioned that to me once before. I wonder if that includes classical music. Or do you get into that iffy area of, obviously, if I'm going to put on Bach to work out in, and it would be awesome to work out to classical music. It's obviously pre-1929, but what if the composer, not the composer, the musician himself is current? Is there a loophole there? Laradox says, good to know, Duncan. Thanks. Laradox, if you ever want workout advice from someone, Duncan Walsh Fitness Motivation is also the man to go to. He doesn't just have musical YouTube advice. Laradox says, I can't tell you what state because a lot of new people entered the chat, but I trust you, Yogi. It's because of them. Understandable. So I'm taking my melatonin ashwagandha, which is an Ayurvedic herb that I mispronounced. I always like people to know when they see me taking something. Completely natural, 100%. Laradox says, Duncan, I'll be sure to subscribe to you. Duncan's got a great channel. Duncan says, including all music before 1929, classical is obviously way before. Yeah, I just wonder though, what if it's, what if the orchestra is current? So what do you go by? Do you go by the fact that it was written in 1690 or that the orchestra performed it in 2023? Charlie559 says he's back. Welcome back. Fitness, let's see. Duncan says, thanks, Paradox. We'll check out your channel. Like I said, I really appreciate seeing the connections that people make across the board. There's such a varied group of people that come here. You see, that's the problem with classical music, Duncan. Duncan says if someone has done their version of a piece, then the new version will be copyrighted, but not the original. Um, so I'm obviously not going to hear Bach himself play something. Unfortunately, my favorite jazz, fortunately for me, unfortunately for being able to play it, um, my favorite jazz is early 50s through the late 60s, maybe a little bit of 70s. Dardock says, "You're welcome, Duncan." And um, Charlie says, "Classical is fine music." It is. It definitely is. Um, it's soothing for the soul. You know, people have said it's literally translated from the language of angels, from the language of God, from the spheres of the universe. Uh, Charlie says, "Jazz is my favorite." Yeah, mine too. Um, growing up, it was, of course, what's now considered classic rock. Um, Older country because of my father, classical music because my mother was a trained musician. She played the clarinet. She's got a musical scholarship playing the clarinet to college. Um, and it was only relatively recent. You know, I would listen to jazz here and there, but in the last 10 years, I've done a deep, deep dive into jazz. Duncan says, I use music from Artlist, which is copyright-free music, including jazz, but there's a subscription fee. I don't think it's, you know, I don't think it adds anything to the channel. It would be for me personally, so I don't know if it's that important. I actually don't run to music and never have. Seems like I would be missing something if I did. Odom says I got hit with copyright on songs I sing. Wow. Uh, and I had to do a review to prove that it was me. Wow, man, it's pretty ridiculous. Charlie says my mother was a singer, but sadly she died. Yeah, my mom passed away. Complications from Alzheimer's. 2011, and my father passed away 2 years ago. I had the good fortune of being a caregiver for both of them. Charlie said, I mean my grandmother. Eric says, I love it when they tell you the story that the song is portraits and you hear it unfold. Classical music. Man, yeah, there's really just something magical about it. For a long time, Mozart was my favorite, but recently it's been more Bach. I have a neighbor, not a close neighbor, that maybe lives about a mile away, um, who was a um, flautist. It is a flautist, right? For the Baltimore Symphony. He had to retire. He suffered an injury and could no longer play. And I would ask him about maybe another instrument, and he said it's too painful for him emotionally because he loves music so deeply and he loved playing the flute so deeply. Eric says, sorry, I typed too fast. It happens. I get the advantage where I only have to stumble over words as I speak them. As much as my pronunciation of some words are brought to my attention fairly frequently, it is still better than my spelling and my typing. Charlie says, my grandmother was a singer of soul, and she was amazing. I bet. That's great to hear, Charlie. I love those memories. Duncan says, second single cause of death is second single, and the third. Man, why do I want to say that it's something car related? Second or third, I think, might be car related. First is heart disease, right? Charlie says, does anyone know Aretha Franklin? I do. I've enjoyed her music quite a bit through the years. So I'm thinking the first is heart disease, Duncan. Odom says, my aunt has amazing gospel voice. You got to love that music that comes straight, literally from the soul. I mentioned you're singing quite a bit, Odom. So heart disease verse. Second is, I want to say cancer, but then it might be, are we going to have to go with some specific type of cancer? And then I'm also thinking something automobile related. Charlie says, my grandmother was Aretha Franklin's friend. Wow, that's amazing. That is definitely a friend to have. Odom says, it's food for your soul. Yeah, it is. I mean, I think gospel music comes, it comes straight from the soul. So I was correct for the second. Third is unintentional accidents. Charlie says, yeah. That's something to think about. Third cause of death, unintentional accidents. Pays to be mindful. And aware. Duncan says, but also falls for the elderly. Yeah, my father took a few nasty falls. One on ice right in front of me, and I was unable to get to him in time. Really bad bump on the head, and it was right in front of a doctor's building. My father went in a short period of time from walking unimpeded on his own to using a cane. He was steady with the cane for a number of years, and then with congestive heart failure, needed, in about a 6-month period of time, to a walker to a wheelchair. However, up until even his last trip into the hospital, I would help him out of the wheelchair and we would walk. Walks got shorter and shorter. Towards the end, it was just from our living room through the kitchen down the hallway. On a good day, we'd do 2 laps. If he wasn't feeling it, it would be 1 lap. But he got up. He got up out of that wheelchair with my help. He wanted to keep moving. And in the wheelchair, he would use his bands, rubber bands, and light dumbbells to keep his upper body strong. Odom says you would think it would be murder because it's all you hear on TV. Yeah, you know what? I talk about that quite a bit. It's just amazing that we always put that front and center. Right now, if you turn on the news, especially if you turn on the local news, I'd be willing to bet somewhere you're going to hear within the first 10 minutes, someone killed someone. So many people got killed. They're looking into, they're investigating who killed this person or this group of people. But at the same time, at the very same time, right now, someone helped someone else out. Someone committed an act of sheer kindness. Someone sacrificed themselves for the well-being of another person. But none of that's news. What's news is what grabs our attention in a negative way. Or that's what they present to us as news. Odom says, glad I got home from the doctor before the tornado come through. Luckily, no damage here. Well, yeah, I'm glad. Every so often, we get one here. Summertime. It'll be coming up soon. My friend in York, Pennsylvania, lost his barn last year due to a tornado. What's really amazing, that part of Pennsylvania seldom ever got tornadoes. And here in Maryland, where I live, you know, I remember as kids, we'd hear a tornado warning. None of us took it seriously because we never heard of a tornado being here. But now it's common enough that you just can't take a chance. Duncan says, if you look around your room, do you see any fractals? You know what? I don't offhand, but I'm willing to bet. I'm looking at a painting. Don't ask me who that is, because I don't know. Or who painted that. But it's because it's been here forever. It's been in my family forever. But I'm willing to bet there's fractals in that painting. What I need to do, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm always glad when you bring up fractals. All we need now is Mocha to be here, so I can hear her groan. I need to get some. I got houseplants downstairs. I need to get some houseplants in here, in my office. Surround myself with fractals. It could only be. It could only be for good. So, I think we're gonna wrap things up just a little early. I usually have been going for about an hour and a half, sometimes longer. And of course, when Duncan's here, it's always good to get that training talk in. But I think I'm going to need an early night, especially now that I got a new interval burpee challenge issued forth from Duncan. So tomorrow's going to be zone 2, Duncan. Nice and easy. The next day is another strength day, and it's going to be for volume. I'll be doing chins and dips. Then it's back to zone 2, and then the day after that. So I'm thinking Saturday will probably be my next interval session. And if I do the interval, if I do the one that you suggested, I'll try to live stream it. Holger says, all right, it's been nice, Yogi. Thanks, Holger. I appreciate you being here. Eric Point says, another good live stream. Good night, everyone. Good night, Eric. Thank you for joining. Duncan says, important for any progressions to be within capabilities and just slight increments. That's good advice, um, especially for those intervals where you almost always push to that point of exhaustion in that minute. So I'll keep that in mind. Thank you. Charlie, my friend, thank you. I appreciate the new friendship. Our good friend Odom. Odom, I'm glad the tornado didn't cause any damage to you guys. Laradox, appreciate you being here. And of course, Falgo. And our good friend K. Renee's Garden. You guys were great. Very much appreciated. We'll be back. We'll do it again tomorrow. Take care, guys.